All right, all right.
If you want to check Coop and listen to the
I see it.
levels of Carmen as well, since I can't easily do that on my end. I think I balanced you guys the best I can, but
Well, I
only
think
time
we
will tell.
sounded pretty good. Well, y'all have been having a good weekend.
Yeah. Watched a bunch of movies with Amy. Showed
A
her.
bunch of movies.
Showed her.
What other movies other than the one?
Ghostbusters and Robin Hood Men in Tights.
How'd she like them?
She was a big fan of Ghostbusters, and she tolerated Men in Tights.
Tolerated it? She didn't like it?
I think she did, but for how much I bigged it up, I think she was like, "Really? You were bigging it up this much?" Which, to be fair, it's not as quite a mile a minute as I remember it being. Spaceballs is definitely the better of the two, but I have more nostalgia for Men in Tights.
What's the better of the two? Baseballs?
Spaceballs.
Oh, Spaceballs. I haven't seen Spaceballs in ages.
Oh, I was gonna say you haven't seen Spaceballs. That's a good one.
No, I just haven't seen it in a long time.
She was surprised by Rick Moranis not playing a larger part in Ghostbusters.
But he gets to be busted. He's one of the busted.
She thought he was a buster.
No.
He's a bustee.
He's a bustee. He gets busted. Busted makes him feel good.
Yeah, and of course, as soon as I went up, we did that because we watched that earlier in the day, and I went up and started prepping dinner stuff, and I was listening to Busting, of course.
Of course.
The classic.
Of course.
As you do.
As one has to.
Yeah. You gotta listen to it. It's only right.
Bustin' makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a requirement to do it after you watch the movie. You have to know.
But she liked, or at least semi-liked both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she texted me later. It's like, I definitely want to watch Ghostbusters 2 now.
Ooh, yeah.
And then all the other Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no. No, I'm not even watching those.
Is there a like of the original Ghostbuster like core people? Is there a third one of those?
No.
With like Bill Murray and all those guys? It's just the first two? Or
Well, there was the one that came out with Paul Rudd last year,
right,
2
but
years
that's
ago.
Not, I meant like in the 80s, 90s, like back when it was coming out.
No, there was only the two.
Okay.
I think there was talk about doing a third, but it never happened.
That's fair. That makes sense.
And of course, Harold Ramis passed away somewhat back.
But don't worry, they just fully CGI his ghost into the new ones.
Well, that was easy.
You think it would be a tasteful tribute? Nope, they just fully slapped him in there. Tasteful.
I hate it when they do that.
Yep.
It's like when they put Carrie Fisher in one of the new Star Wars, like, I don't think she wrote that off.
Yeah. I get. I don't get it, actually. I mean, I get families wanting to make money off their dead relatives. That greed's a tale as old as time. But the moral implications are.
There's like the only like situation I could see that being okay in is if someone is like midway through making a movie and they for some reason pass away, like not in like a horrific or depressing, like if they had like a really late stage of cancer or something and they passed away and they want to finish out like the couple things. I think there was a movie, I can't remember what it was, but I think there was a movie that happened to one of the like supporting actors, not one of the leads, but one of the supports passed away, and they CG'd like a couple lines that they had to do like a talk over or whatever. And so they CG'd in a couple lines for that person. And that was it. They didn't do like they didn't like CG their body in, they didn't CG their face or anything. It was just the AI had to do a couple of voiceover lines for them in order to finish out like what the core of the character needed to be. They didn't add anything extra. I can't remember why. I don't remember what movie it was, but I remember that happening.
The only other thing I could think of that
like,
being
this is okay. I am okay with this.
The only other thing I could think of being okay with is the de-aging of artists that are themselves, like they did for
Oh yeah.
The new Indiana Jones, and less successfully for The Irishman.
Pretty good in the new Indiana Jones.
Yeah. The Irishman is just a 60-year-old wearing a 30-year-old mask.
Oh, you're saying Robert De Niro doesn't move with the grace and elegance of
a 30-year-old? No. No, he does not.
Yeah, no, that doesn't.
And probably
surprise
being
me.
generous with 60 there as well. I think he's quite a bit older than that.
But that's also like that person is alive and is consenting to do that sort of a thing. So that's I mean, if you're alive and you consent to them AI like messing with your face or messing with your voice or whatever, that's totally on you if you want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. Like I don't care what you do with your life, but it's after someone's passed away and they want to just stick them in there to make a little extra money or do something to I don't know. I don't like that. But if you're alive, I don't care what you consent to. Just
I'm imagining that one meme where it's like it's a picture of Martin Scorsese and it says I consented, like CGI Robert De Niro. I consent. Old Robert De Niro. I don't. Is there someone you forgot to ask?
Oh no.
One of those.
That's good.
Is there someone you forgot to ask?
All right. Well, do we want to get going here, because it might be a bit longer with 3 voices. I tried to pare back my writings a bit so it wouldn't be as heavy.
No,
sure.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop podcast. If you weren't here at the initial, you'll be able to tell that we have a special guest today. Carmen is joining us again for Emails I Can't Send Forward by Sabrina Carpenter. Sorry, my eyes went a bit cross-eyed while reading. A title so spammy it got sent to my spam folder when this file got created. So, bit of a scramble to find that.
Hello. I'm excited to be back. This is my 4th album, I believe, that I have done. Or is it just my 3rd?
I have no idea. We haven't done
a while since our last
It's either my
yeah.
It's either my 3rd or 4th. I can't remember. I've done at least 2. I remember that.
It's been a hot second.
Yeah. Did you say hang on?
No, I said it's been a hot second since we've had a guest. We also weren't super consistent with albums the past year, so
They come right when they need to. Sam, it's like a wizard, right? It's never late. It's always on time.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
A wizard is exactly when he
reviews an album.
A wizard is exactly when he needs to. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, Carmen, can you give a little background on the Sabrina Carpenter album?
Absolutely. So, Sabrina Carpenter, if you have never heard of her, she is not as, famous as some of the other albums that I've chosen in the past. She is a 24-year-old actress and singer-songwriter who initially gained fame acting in a role in Disney's Girl Meets World as Maya, but has recently become a staple in the pop music industry with breakout hits from her 5th full-length album, Emails I Can't Send. Carpenter has been in the spotlight from a young age, acting in featured roles in shows like Law & Order from the age of 11, and continuing to pursue music with her debut EP, Can't Blame a Girl for Trying, at the age of 14, and also appearing on Broadway. Since then, she's appeared in many feature films, featuring the most notable being Netflix's Tall Girl films and Clouds. She also starred as Katie in the Broadway version of Mean Girls, and has released 5 studio albums exploring many different corners of the pop genre. Those who don't know Sabrina from her various media projects may also know her from a 2020 feud with Olivia Rodrigo over the latter's single Driver's License, calling out a, quote, blonde for seemingly stealing her man. Sabrina is blonde, for those who don't know. Many believe the blonde she was referencing was Carpenter, and many Rodrigo fans sent her death threats, and she became public enemy number 1 after Driver's License's success. Since then, Carpenter has taken her role as a, quote, homewrecker and a slut, and turned it on its head, using it as a tagline for songs, putting it on her merch, and not letting public hate get to her, as heard in her single Skin, which was her first entry on the Billboard Hot 100 at 48, and an Emails song, Because I Liked a Boy. Emails I Can't Send, her 5th studio album, was led by singles Skinny Dipping and Fast Times, before the album released on July 15th, 2022, at 23 on the Billboard 200. It was her highest entry. Carpenter has said in interviews that the album is not only primarily written by her, but is inspired by actual emails and text messages she composed, but never sent to their intended parties. The first post-release single off of that album was Nonsense, becoming massively popular on TikTok and rocketing her to pop star status, according to Rolling Stone. The song has since become platinum and stays in Carpenter's most streamed songs of all time. On March 17th, 2023, she released the deluxe version of Emails with 4 new tracks. including her second big hit, Feather, which also became a TikTok hit and peaked at 46 on the Hot 100 and Rolling Stones named it one of the best songs of 2023. Emails continues to be commercially successful almost 2 years after its initial release, and Carpenter is still touring its songs not only on her own headlining tours, but also as an opener on select shows on Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour. And my fun fact, because I always bring a fun fact to the table for the albums that I do, Nonsense, the massive hit from TikTok, also has a Christmas version. There's a Christmas edition of Nonsense, and that she released in 2022, I believe. And that may or may not have inspired her to release a Christmas EP this past year called Fruitcake, which the Nonsense version, the Nonsense Christmas version, is on the Fruitcake EP. So that is that's my fun fact for the album. Okay. And her bio, I guess. That's Sabrina.
I gotta say, I'm really happy that Bob Dylan fans aren't nearly as toxic as some of the modern pop fans are, or else I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
You're gonna get canceled by Bob Dylan Twitter.
I
He
don't
doesn't even know what Twitter is. No, he doesn't even know what Twitter is, I'm sure.
No.
He makes everybody lock up their phones. Of course he doesn't know what Twitter is.
Yeah, for real. He has like 2 fan pages on Facebook still. Those are the only Bob Dylan fan areas that there are.
Oh, believe me, if you go to any of his, when he released his 17-minute JFK epic, the comment section was nothing but praise, and it was all boomers. So anyway, enough Bob Dylan hate. We can get on to track number 1 if you guys are ready.
Yeah. Track number 1, Emails I Can't Send. The title track.
I can start out with this one, I guess, since it's my album.
Yeah, go for it.
So Emails, like I said in the intro, Emails I Can't Send is actually inspired by real things that she wrote and didn't send to her, like the people that she wrote them for. And I have a headcanon that since the Emails I Can't Send track is all in lowercase, there aren't any capital letters in it. All of the lowercase title tracks are the ones that were based on unsent messages, because there are some that are capital letters in the title, in the track list, and some that are all lowercase letters. And based on this first track, which is about her dad cheating on her mom and how upset she was about it and like how it made her feel and how it will affect her relationships going forward, my theory is that all of the lowercase album, or all the lowercase track titles, mean that those were the emails that she couldn't send, or the messages she couldn't send. That's just my idea. That's never been confirmed by her or confirmed by anyone that I know.
You're saying it's just a theory.
Yes, it's just a theory, Cooper. But yeah, so I just, and there are other songs, and I have that in my notes too, which ones I think are, which ones like back up that theory that I have. But Emails I Can't Send really feels like something that she meant to send, to her dad, and obviously her dad would hear it because he probably listens to her music. But it's really just such a personal song that talks about her experience about that, and I can absolutely see some of those lyrics being something that she typed out and meant to send, but then were turned into lyrics and made into rhymes and things that go on and stuff like that. That's just my theory part of it. But I'm not normally like a quote unquote intro fan. Like if people have like a short introduction song at the very beginning of albums, I don't normally like them. They're normally skips for me. But Emails I Can't Send, the song, is long enough to where I actually enjoy it. I really like the storytelling she does. Like you can really hear, like you can really understand what she went through and what was going on with the lyrics that were written for it. Yeah, I really like this song. I think the lyrics are really great. I have in my my notes that it feels like a wonderfully written run-on sentence. Like it doesn't stop. There's no period. She just keeps talking. But I really like how it just kind of keeps falling into each other and like it just keeps going.
Yeah, I do quite like the nice build we get in this song. It certainly starts from the bottom and go up. I will say I cannot understand a fucking thing she's saying in this. Some of those parts of her breathing and singing sound exactly the same.
She has a very airy voice, and I think it lends itself well to some of the ballads on the song. But it is a little hard to understand some of the things she says for sure if you haven't listened to the album many times as I have.
Yeah, there's better, I think, better examples of her singing style later. It's just the breathiness with how close she is to the mic. It's a vibe, but I'm not vibing with it.
Oh, that's fair.
You're not a man who likes his breathy vocals.
No, I don't like somebody licking the inside of my ear.
Well, we didn't ask you about that, Sam, but...
You got anything, Cooper? You want to jump to track 3 or 2?
Yeah,
jump at the gun here.
Track number 2, Vicious. Which is the first proper song of the album, Though all the songs of the album are pretty tight, right?
Yeah, nothing too terribly
basically
long.
Everything's under 4 minutes.
Still 17 songs on the album, 50-minute album.
Yeah, to be fair, I guess this is the
deluxe version. To be fair, I did choose the deluxe version of this because in my opinion, once she released the deluxe version, those 4 songs, they're part of the album. You know what I mean? Like, they don't feel like they're deluxe tracks. They feel like they should have been included with the album the whole time. And I just can't imagine the initial album without those songs after I've heard them. So I might have cheated to choose the deluxe album, but I just can't picture this album anymore without the deluxe tracks on them.
I respect that.
Well, unfortunately, Carmen, that's disqualified. So that's the end of our episode.
Dang. What a shame. All right, see you guys next time.
No, but Vicious is the first, I guess, proper song on the album. That's not the intro. And that kind of has what you're going to see throughout the album here. I mean, the intro did it too, with, the violin string backing, but also kind of the more understated vocal delivery, a little more of a low-key instrumentation, right? It keeps the energy, but this album isn't too in your face all of the time.
I mean, you say that, but this one, Coop, really, it builds up pretty quick and gets really loud. I mean, that was on me.
Once it gets to the distorted vocals, then it gets a little more chaotic.
This is like the one that's like that on this album, though. The first time I listened to this song, I didn't really like it because I felt that it was sort of out of place with the distorted vocals, because that's not something she really goes for. It's not really like the pop vibe of this album. And normally I don't like it when people do kind of something like that, but in this song, the more I listened to it, the more I kind of came around to it. And I think with the build and how quickly it went, I like where it ended up, and then she just drops right back down afterwards. But yeah, I think it's a good climax with that build that she was working towards. I think it worked really well.
Yeah, it shocked me a little bit. I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it was like, okay, quickly turn down the volume on my computer. I wasn't prepared for it.
No, that's totally fair. I totally get that. I was the same way the first listen.
Her vocal stylings on this one are I like quite a bit better without the breathiness.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Well, we can jump to track 3 if everybody's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, track number 3, Read Your Mind.
So I'll go first, I guess, for this one. Read Your Mind is the first track on the album that has the very forward bass line, and there are a few of them in here, and those tend to be some of my favorite songs on this album because I really like how normally she has a soprano voice, sometimes she has a little lower of a voice, but especially in this song, the way she sings in soprano with the bass line that are basically the only 2 things happening for a lot of the song. I really like how they're paired together. And just the bass line itself, I feel like is really well made and done and works with the melody of the song. So I really like this song. This one's one of my favorites on the album.
Oh, yeah, I'm a super big fan of this song as well. I mean, like you said, the bass line kind of adds this bit of funkiness to it that, makes this really danceable back groove, while the instrumentation gets a little more lush with the strings and guitar.
Oh, yeah, the strings. Mm-hmm.
And then obviously as she hits the bridge, it kind of breaks down to just the bass, where it's, like I said, just the funk gets a little more forward. I like it how it kind of swings back and forth between the more lush strings and the more funky bass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the strings. I wasn't the biggest fan of this one personally.
Oh,
it's just all chorus. There's nothing else but chorus. I'll be honest with you.
What's wrong with all chorus? It's like those oops all berries cereals,
Well,
everyone likes the berries.
I don't eat those either, but it was like 7 or 8. Like it's in 2 parts, which I can respect, but the fact that that's all it is, and it's the same beat, it's too repetitive for me. I just couldn't do it for both sections of the chorus.
Yeah, it's the same like progression. She does the same progression of notes twice with different lyrics for the chorus, which is totally fair. I don't know. I like the progression of notes, so I don't mind that she does it again. But...
It's just there's not anything really going on instrumentally in the background.
Ooh, I disagree.
It's there. It's just not the best.
I agree with Sam when he's saying there's not a lot there instrumentally, but I think that's what I like about it, is that it's solo her voice and the bass line, which I both really enjoy in the song. And I think that's the reason I like it, is because some of the time in the chorus it's lacking the rest of the instrumentation, which I think is really interesting. I don't know. I like it.
There's better examples
like
later.
The 2:30 mark. I mean, I respect. I kind of like how it kind of goes up at the end as well. But
I just think there's better examples later of the stripped back instrumentals being performed much better.
That's fair.
But we can jump to track number 4 then, if everybody's ready.
Track number 4, Tornado Warnings.
I'll go first then. This is...
Sorry.
I will say, it's a very good display of the strength of her voice. But there's not really much else to bring you in, I'll be honest. The beat isn't really there for me.
True. Oh, go ahead, Cooper.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess I can understand that the intro is a little more vocal, almost spoken word, or like has a more spoken word element to it. She does it a little bit throughout this album. This first song being the first example. I think it kind of comes into its own into the chorus. With the kind of the stacked vocals and obviously the bass that's still in the background, though I know, less characteristic than it was in, track number 3.
Yeah, I agree. The bass line in the chorus is kind of what does it to me. I agree that it's not one of the stronger songs on the album, but I really like the story and the lyrics. This is one of the first songs on the album where I have notes about how I love the story, I love the lyrics, and I feel like a lot of pop songs in recent years, and maybe just the 2010s, I don't know, you don't hear a story. They're just kind of like talking about something. And that's something I like about oldies and like classic rock, is that so many songs tell stories and you hear them talking about something that happened and you can really understand what they went through. And I think that's something that Sabrina, being a singer-songwriter, she is a she is listed as a writer on every single one of the songs on this album. She had something to do with every single song on this album, whether it's write a little bit of it or write the majority of it. A couple of the songs are only her. She's the only writer. I don't know about this one particularly, but I really like her writing style. And I think this is one of the songs that really like pushes that for me. Like, I really like how she did the lyrics. And I think if you know who Julia Michaels is, she writes for a lot of like popular pop girlies. She's also on this track, helping her write it and stuff like that. So I really like the lyrics on this, and I think that's what really does it for me, because it is sort of like a slower ballad and some of those are less interesting, but the lyrics are good for me.
Well, to each their own.
It's true.
But if you guys are ready, we can jump to track 5.
Track 5, Because I Liked a Boy.
So I do want to start out with this one.
Yeah,
Because I Liked a Boy was the first Sabrina song I ever heard. I was scrolling through, gosh, I can't even remember where, and it was the music video popped up, and her music video was like circus themed for this song, which I thought was really interesting because I was reading a book about a circus at the time, and so I was like, oh, I'll watch this cute little like circus music video. That'll be fun. And then I heard the song and I like instantly fell in love with it. And I had heard about kind of what the song is alluding to, which was that Olivia Rodrigo feud in 2020. And so I had like heard about that, but I didn't really know either of the artists, so it didn't really involve me when the feud happened. But when I heard her write it, or when I heard her sing it, like just the way that she speaks about like what she went through and how she really doesn't let it get to her. I just loved that for her, and so many people go through that. And as you were talking about, you're happy that a lot of the singers that you like don't have hate trains like modern pop artists and stuff like that, and modern fan bases and stuff like that, which I totally agree, because it's so hard to be someone these days who, you know, is in relationships with other people who have also been in relationships. Like one of the lyrics in the song is dating boys with exes, no, I wouldn't recommend it, which is so telling of her story. Like, she just dated someone. It's not her fault that that person's ex ended up having an entire crazy song that went off and was number one on like every chart, and she had so many death threats thrown her way, but she just writes about it so good. This is also the first song on the album, however, that has one of the worst lyrics I've ever heard in my life. So this is like the both sides of it, where I love some of her writing, but then I also hate some of her writing with every bone in my body. Literally the first
You have an example?
lyric. The first lyric is oh gosh, what exactly? I didn't write the whole lyric. I just wrote the Thin Mints, that it's about Thin Mints. And literally I cringe every time I hear it, because it's like the worst thing. There's one other one, I can't remember which one it is. Oh gosh, what is the lyric? I said I wanted Thin Mints and you said you knew a guy. Bro, what does that even mean? You wanted Thin Mints and this guy got you Thin Mints, so now you're in love with him? Like, that's so stupid. I hate that lyric.
Someone who's almost choked to death on a Thin Mint, I concur.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, other than that, I really like the lyrics and I really like the story she tells, and I think the instrumentals are really good in it. As like sort of a ballad, but also not a ballad, because she's not really singing about someone, she's singing about her experiences. I don't know if that's still considered a ballad. Would that be considered a ballad? I don't know. Regardless, I really like the song. It's one of my favorites on the album, except for that one lyric that just irks me. Every time I hear it, I hate it.
Yeah, I like the wah guitar that sticks around, that pops in right at the start of this. Doesn't stick around for the whole song, though. I wish it did.
Sure.
I feel like there's
more in the rest of the album, though.
Yeah, true. There are better examples later.
True.
There are some interesting things happening instrumentally in this one, but there's a really heavy filter over everything that just makes it so. I mean, I have a little thing typed out later about this, but just so her voice is the only thing you can really focus on.
Which, to be fair, I guess is the point of the song.
Mm-hmm.
Though I do agree with what you're saying. Where it kind of almost it's almost like an autofocus.
Yes,
but instrumentally.
Yeah. Which, it's a style choice. Jump to track 6, if everybody's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Track number 6, already over. It starts with a nice little acoustic guitar loop with like some backing, light percussion as well. I actually quite like the acoustic work throughout this album.
And you try as you might, you can't disguise that 2-1 clap. The younger generations can't escape the siren's call.
This is wonderful. I didn't even realize that this song had a 1-2 clap in it until I was like listening to it and writing down stuff about it, and I was like, "Oh, I cannot wait to hear what Sam has to say about the 1-2 clap."
It's different. They didn't do the same speed that literally everyone ever does for it, so that's a nice change of pace. It's actually quick.
It's also not in the whole song.
Yeah,
they only do it for the chorus, and then they don't do it the rest of the song, which I was like, okay, Sam might not hate this.
No, it's not. I just find it funny anytime I hear it now.
It's not the worst offender, but I've never been like, oh man, yeah, the 2-1 clap.
Yeah,
I've never been like excited it's been there. I get why people do it, but yeah, I always find it a little goofy.
It's catchy, but no, I agree. But I think I don't think this does it badly. I think this song does it well, because they have it a little bit when they kind of need it and they want the like stacking of beats. But when they don't need it, it's not there. They don't overdo it.
It's not just constantly playing on loop in the background.
Right, which I've definitely heard songs that do that.
Yeah.
And it gets annoying. I get it.
Yeah,
I do like this song.
Throughout this album. I think this song's a good example of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like this song. I like the it's a little different. It's not different enough to where it seems out of place, but it's like a little different from some of the other things on the album. I guess I don't want to say it's a little like country inspired, but like with the acoustics and the beat, it kind of feels like it could be a little like, you know, bluegrass kind of inspiration. But it's different enough than other things on the album that I think it's nice in there. I think it works well without being too out of place.
Mm-hmm. Well, if everybody's ready, we can jump on to track number 7 then.
Track number 7, How Many Things.
This is another one where one of the worst lyrics I've ever heard in my life is saying it's also the first. Why is it always the first lyric that she sings? That's the worst one. When she goes, "You used a fork once. Turns out forks are fucking everywhere."
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I thought I heard that.
What is she talking about?
I thought I heard that, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
And like the parallel with the next lyric, I get, because the next lyric is, "We sat on the roof once. Conversation took us everywhere," and like so she's telling a story, but to pair it with that first lyric that's absolutely like out of nowhere and ridiculous and so cheesy, like the parallel I understand, but you could have come up with something better. In my opinion. I don't know, maybe whoever wrote that lyric really loved it and they thought it was really funny. No, it's not. It's bad.
Yeah, she has the occasional lyric where it kind of raises your eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not like consistent throughout the album, but it pops up every here and there. Which, given how, I guess, you know, typically self-serious the songs are, it's like,
Yeah.
She knows how to poke fun at herself, I think. And I do appreciate that with some of the writing, but then there's some of the writing that's like this, where it's like, absolutely not. None of that.
Yeah, this was the song we got to this one, and I realized what my problem was with this album. I don't like her voice, which kind of makes it hard when that's the whole focus.
Oh, you don't? Well,
no.
Because it's too breathy, isn't it?
I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't like it. Maybe it sounds derivative because she sounds like every other. She's mimicking the style of every other modern pop singer, but
name 2.
Taylor Swift and everyone else who's
like
there's one spot I'll point out where she sounds exactly like Taylor Swift. But I don't know. It's the mixing is the other issue. If she was mixed as an instrument within the song, which she could very easily do, I would like it a little better. And she does do that in the next track. But when she's mixed ahead above everything else, it just, I don't know. I can't vibe with it.
Definitely like a personal thing, though, because I love her voice. I think she has a really pretty voice. I mean, a lot of pop artists do sound the same, but I think she has a very, and maybe it's because I mostly listen to pop music, but she has a very distinct voice in the pop music realm. I don't think she sounds at all like Taylor Swift, but I also don't listen to modern Taylor Swift. I only listen to country Taylor Swift, and I don't think she sounds anything like that.
Yeah, I have it written down later here, but there's one spot where I'm like, okay, this is Taylor Swift. She's also touring, isn't she? Touring in Taylor Swift's Eras tour.
She tours with Taylor Swift sometimes. She wasn't in the U.S. leg, but she was doing some of the South American legs with Taylor. And I mean, Sabrina has been like a Taylor Swift fan for her whole life, and so I'm sure she does take some inspiration from Taylor. But I don't think the way her voice sounds is part of that inspiration.
No.
But it's funny that you point that out, that you don't like her voice in this song, because this is the song that I wrote that I think it's a great song to show off her voice and her range, because she has high parts and she has I think it's the verses that are in her like more alto voice, and so I think that with like the ballad single acoustic guitar, I think this is one of the best acoustic songs, acoustic ballads. I don't know what you would consider it. But I think this is one of the best ones on the album.
Yeah, and that's go ahead, Coop. Sorry.
I disagree with that little one. I don't particularly care for this one. I mean, I don't dislike her voice like Sam, but I also think that the instrumentation is not interesting enough to support this song.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think her voice is pretty good, but I also just like the instrumentation more throughout the album.
When she's using her voice and her voice alone to carry every single song, it just gets tired.
I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but I think in this case where it's like only your voice and some scanned instrumentation, it doesn't work as well.
Mm-hmm. But speaking about something
that I disagree with most of that. Anyway, go on.
Fair enough.
Speaking about something that does work, if we want to move to track number 8.
Bet you wanna. Sorry, I was just trying to say that more Canadian. Bet you wanna, huh? Trying to say that Canadian.
So we
sound like you're trying to say if she wanna do.
If you wanna do.
Mr. Sim.
We get some weird guitar stuff at the start, and then hit me with some vocals that are balanced within the instrumentation. Instantly, I was like, okay, I'm paying attention. And then she hits the chorus, and she's mixed super high above again. I'm like, okay, well, you lost me.
I guess maybe I'm not as familiar with like song mixing. Maybe
I'm
just used to mixing like this. But I mean, I've listened to this album a lot of times, and I have never once thought about that she was mixed over anything or that she was too overbearing in any song over the instrumentation. But again, that's just me. I don't know. Maybe my ears don't pick up the same things that yours do.
I think it's pretty fair for a pop album to have a vocal on the vocal.
It is.
Vocal on the vocal. Thanks, Cooper.
I just enjoyed it more because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of her voice, and when it's treated as another instrument, then I like it more because then it's actually, meshed within instead of being like, hey, look at me.
Fair. That is very like pop star of her though.
Yeah.
That's like a huge thing in the pop industry for like massive pop singers is it's about their voice, it's about their artistry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And like I said, maybe it's just because I listen to this music primarily, that I'm used to that, and so I don't pick up on that and I don't notice it and it doesn't bother me. So I don't know.
I guess to be fair, if you're not a fan of her vocals, then that's not going to be a positive.
That's true. No, that's totally fair. But yeah, I really do like I agree with I like the instrumentation in this. I love the bass line. Bass line came back. I love the bass lines on this album just in general, and this one's really good. And the like the build of the backtrack on the song throughout the whole thing, I really like as well. I think I agree the instrumentation and how it works in this song is really, really well done.
And sorry, go ahead, Coop. Wait, I was like, okay, Cooper's gonna come in now, and then you just didn't talk. So I'm like, okay, I'm going then.
I'm trying to do the waiting. No, I just like the funky bass throughout this song. Quite honestly, oh, yeah. I think it's done well throughout the album. I'm a big fan of it. Oh, you can go, Sam.
I think this is a much better example of a sparse instrumental track done right, because there's not a whole lot going on, but it's done well, as opposed to some of those earlier ones we had, like where they had a filter over everything so you couldn't actually hear what was going on in the background. But it still does that little bit of build up too, which is nice, because she put my expectations very high at the start with having some great builds, and then she fell into some classic pop tropes of just having the song be the same throughout.
Yeah, that's true. There aren't a lot of big builds on some of the songs in the album. There are a lot of like flat acoustic, kind of the same vibe throughout, which I like those songs. But the ones that do have builds, I also really like those builds, and I think they do them well.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a big build, but just any amount of building.
True. A little build goes a long way.
Exactly. Yes. Jump to track number 9 if everybody's ready.
Yeah, track number 9.
I want to hear what you guys think about this, because like I said, Nonsense is the most popular song on the album. It got super popular on TikTok. It went very viral. It is, I believe, her highest charting song to date. Feather actually might have overtaken that, but if not, it's Nonsense for sure. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about this before I jump in.
You mean Hotline Bling?
600 million views.
You mean Hotline Bling?
No, it's not that. Oh, okay, it's similar.
You heard that beat in there, right? There's the Hotline Bling beat in there.
There are similarities. I will give it that.
No. It's in there. I can hear Hotline Bling.
No, I mean, I thought it was a fine song. I don't get why it's like the biggest song of hers is all. It's like, it's got a little bit of a club cut, right? It's got some energy. I don't know how it got 600 million listens though.
Yeah, it's I don't mean this in the bad way. I know the kids these days say mid as if it's bad, but mid's a C. It's not an A+, but it's not a failure. Right. It's okay. She sings a lot higher than her normal vocal range, which I thought was quite odd. Her speaking voice is quite a bit lower than her usual, at least the ones we've heard on here, her singing voice. Right.
All right. Are you ready for my take?
Go for it.
I hate this song.
Whoa.
I don't feel bad for trashing it then.
This is, I believe, the worst track on the album by far. It does not sound like it belongs with the rest of the albums. It is not the same genre that she's doing. And unlike some of the other songs where she kind of deviates from her, like the pop kind of section that she's in right now, this does not sound like anything on the rest of the album. And I do not like it because it's everything about like overproduced, bad drum backtrack pop music that I dislike in today's pop music. You guys were very kind to this track. I'm going to be very not kind to this track because I absolutely understand why it's popular, because that sort of pop music is popular these days, but it is not my pop music. Jonah's really surprised in chat, but I really don't like this song. I think this is like the one song on the album where you take all of those little like cheesy, lame, cringy lyrics and she just like shoved them into nonsense. And there are some lyrics that are really good and kind of fun and flirty, but there are a lot of lyrics on this song that I just really hate. And I just really don't like the writing. And yeah, if all of her music wasn't like that, all of her music was like this, I wouldn't listen to her because I don't like this. And there are, like I said, definitely pop artists these days that all of their music does sound like this. And I don't like them and I don't like those songs. And if they come on the radio station, I change the radio station because I can't stand this kind of music. And I just really don't like nonsense. That's my take. And another Jonah shout out, I guess, is one of her, or it's her most popular song. She sang this on New Year's Eve. She was live in New York City singing it on New Year's Eve. I made everybody stop what they were doing so I could go watch watch Sabrina, if you guys remember.
I do.
And she sang Nonsense, and Jonah walked over and he was like, I don't even recognize this song. And I'm like, yeah, because every time it comes on the album, I skip it. It is my one skip on this album. I almost always skip this song unless I like can't for some reason skip the song, or I just need my playlist to go on longer because I'm driving and it's going to end exactly when I get to my destination. But yeah, 9.9 out of 10 times I will be skipping Nonsense because I really don't like it, and people will probably come for me for that, but I do not care.
Don't worry, Carmen, nobody's hearing this but Jonah. No one else is watching.
Looks like we have Sabrina Carpenter in chat.
That's the one person that's been viewing all our YouTube videos.
That would be so funny.
That's
not my
happening.
thoughts. I don't know if you have any other angry nonsense thoughts you'd like to add now that I've absolutely torn it to shreds. Feel free.
No, I was just thinking about Hotline Bling. Yeah, I was just thinking about Hotline Bling the whole time, trying to pick that beat out.
See, and I don't like Drake sings that song, right?
Yeah, it's a Drake song.
I don't like Drake because he has that overproduced pop music with that dumb drum machine backtrack that I absolutely can't stand, and this is just one of those songs. And they're
gonna have Drizzy Twitter coming after you.
I don't think anybody sims for Drake, Cooper. I'll be honest with you.
Sam, you'd be surprised, but I also don't care. Man is Canadian and was on Degrassi. I don't think I have anything to worry about.
Those are both true.
I'm not worried about Drake and Drake's fans.
Well, after that bombshell, we can jump to track 10.
Track number 10, Fast Times.
At Ridgemont High. No, sorry.
Starts with a little bit of a backing piano.
True, yeah. This one, I like the piano in the beginning of this one, and if you listen really closely, it just like is almost always there. Like it's just kind of there in the background. You're like, oh, there's that piano again. It just kind of keeps coming back every time she goes back to like a verse or a bridge, which I really like. There's also so first lyric being the cringy lyric. This one kind of falls under that, but I actually really like this one. Her first lyric is "Sun's up too soon, like daylight savings," which I think is kind of a cheesy lyric, but I love it. I think it's really funny, the way she does it, and like you understand what she's going for. It's not just like a stupid one like the fork lyric or the thin mint lyric. This one is good. I like this one, but if you don't like it, that's totally fine. I understand how it's kind of cheesy.
I think it was fine. I did not know how much I needed a solo though. When we got to this song, that solo came on, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm vibing with this."
The guitar solo.
Yeah, granted, it was the same bar twice, but if I can accept Jeff Lynne's crappy one-note piano solo, then I could accept this as a solo.
I think you're being consistent.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I kind of wish it was not just the same thing twice. But I also really like, that was in my notes, has a little star next to it that says, I love the electric guitar solo. It's very up my alley, and I like the way that they put it in this song because it feels like it's very authentic in this song. It's not just like thrown in there to be a guitar solo, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like they've overused it throughout the album, so.
No, not at all.
True, that too. What about you, Coop?
I mean, I like, again, I'm a little ambivalent on this song. I mean, I like the energy and I like the inclusion of the piano. But overall, I don't have too much to say. I do like the horns that came in at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the instrumentation on this one, I like this one too. With the piano and the guitar solo and everything. I think the instrumentation on this one's done well.
I think I was just jonesing for variety. Like she showed that she does have the skills to write that with the guitar solo and the horns, and just every song is kind of the same-ish. You know what I mean?
There's some variety throughout the album. I mean, there's a consistent sound. But,
yes, it's a consistent sound. It's just like there's good use of strings, good use of piano, which is always lovely. But it's like, oh, you know how to do the solos, you know how to do horns and that kind of thing. Like, come on, yeah, put some more of that in. Sprinkle just a little bit of spice on top, you know?
Yeah, maybe she adheres too closely to the pop sensibilities.
Yeah.
I'm hoping she goes more in that direction in her next the next kind of album era she does. Because I listened through her discography after I started listening to this album, and her discography is very different. Like, her first couple albums are very different from her second two albums that are very different from this album. And so she definitely has been changing throughout the years, and I'm hoping that she kind of goes after this. You know what I mean? This is the kind of thing that she kind of pursues. Hopefully not What Nonsense is, even though that's really big for her. But something similar to this, because I really like this song too.
Well, jumping to track number 11 then, if everybody's ready.
11, Skinny Dippin'.
No, Cooper. Skinny dipping, not dipping.
Huh?
You said dip in.
There's a G. What did I say?
You said skinny dipping.
Skinny dipping. Yeah, it's lowercase, so it's more casual.
No. There's difference.
Hey, you want to go skinny dipping, huh?
No, it's lowercase because this is my theory. Remember, my theory is that this one was one of the emails or the messages that she wrote but never sent. But I think the story and kind of how the lyrics are written in this one also lends to that theory. That's in my notes, that it just feels like that one could be one of the emails.
So I had two things for this one real quick. First is, I don't know if I'm going to shit on for this, is the singing section after the half spoken word part sounds exactly like Taylor Swift to me.
Okay. What part again? Sorry, say that to me again.
The singing section after the half spoken word part.
Half spoken word part in this song?
Probably like 30 seconds in.
Yeah, she sounds exactly like current Taylor Swift. Or current as of 10 years ago.
I can't remember what part of that song that is.
I'll
have to re-listen to it.
And then the other part is, the only thing I could think of for this whole damn song was the first three notes of Baba O'Reilly.
What?
That's specific, but
that's what she's using. You can hear it. Like I was sitting there, I'm like, why do I know that? Like this melody, because she goes dun dun dun, and then a couple other notes after that, and I'm like, why does this sound so? Oh, it's Baba O'Reilly. Okay, so that's what I thought about for this song. And it's the timing is too perfect for it to be a coincidence.
No, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about there. I feel like it's not the exact same notes though.
I checked. It is
slightly different. Is it really?
I had Baba O'Reilly pulled up. It's the same notes.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I never picked up on that. That's wild. No, that's right. It's a very different way that it's done though. You know what I mean? They're two very different vibes of songs. So that's probably why I didn't pick up on it. But yeah, I don't know. I like the I guess I never noticed the Baba O'Reilly thing, but my other note on this song, other than that I like the story and I like the lyrics, I guess there's two notes. Is I like the play on words and the metaphors that she uses in the chorus. I think they're really well written. I like the storytelling here. And I also like the little trumpet in it. I think the little trumpet is fun and it's a little different, and there have been horns in the past, but just in this one, I really like the trumpet in it.
It's cute. I do like the little horns.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if everybody's ready, we can move on to track number 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, track number 12, Bad for Business. Which has a little bit of guitar picking right at the beginning, a little more, I guess, light on the instrumentation before going into a, almost like a chill kind of danceable beat.
Yeah, a lot of people say this song is the worst song on the album, which obviously I don't agree with because I think Nonsense is. And I can see how it's maybe one of the weaker songs on the album, but I do like that it has like a little drive of a beat there to kind of keep it more up tempo, even if it is more of like a lighter, airy song. So yeah, I don't know. I quite like this song. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought if this was just a little bit faster, this would be a really good dance beat. But I don't know. For me, at least, it's not quick enough for me to dance to.
Yeah, it's not quick enough to dance to, but I think the beat is still good because it drives the song. Like it's not going for ballad, but it's also not going for like dance song, but it drives, which I appreciate. It doesn't lag for me, which I think it definitely could have done in some capacity.
I just wanted it a little faster.
That's fair.
It's kind of a weird half step between the two, but
but I don't think it's in a bad way. I mean, I totally get if you wanted it to be faster, but like I said, I don't think it's in a bad way in my opinion. I think it's good.
I like the energy that it has.
Yeah.
Well, if we can move on to track 13 then, if everybody's ready.
Track 13, Decode, the original, I guess, closer of the album.
Yeah, so that's actually part of my review for this song, is that I really disliked this song as the original end track for the album. I don't know, I have more thoughts on it for like the end of the deluxe album, or the end of the deluxe tracks, but Decode is a good song, but I just don't like it as the closer for the album, in part because I don't like how the song ends. I don't like how it is kind of airy and floaty, and there's like talking in the background that you can't really understand what she's saying. And like I like the strings on it, but with the way that it kind of trails off and ends, I wish that wasn't the end of the album. You know what I mean? I think there are better songs that I might have put at the end. I don't know what I would have put there, but I don't think Decode is the right one for me. But that doesn't mean I don't dislike the song. I do like the song. I just don't like where it's at on the album. I guess I don't know how often you talk about placements of out songs on albums, but that's that's my like big thought about this.
No,
other than that, I think it's pretty. It's a pretty song.
We do pretty often, and I agree with everything you said here. It's a fine kind of mid-album song.
Yeah,
it's a pretty mellow closer.
Yeah, if you put it up there with like How Many Things and Bet You Wanna and Already Over, I think that's a better spot for it. And again, I don't know if Bad for Business is a better closer, but I don't think this is the right one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst option for a closer, but you're talking about how light it is. I mean, the actual closer that it does end up going with kind of fades off into the end. So I feel like it does that still. But for this one, I do like how the vocals are linked with the strings, you know, kind of a duet happening in the background. I thought that was a interesting effect that kind of gave it that little bit of spice I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the strings on this song. I think they're very well done, and they sound really pretty with her voice. Yeah.
Well, if we're ready, we can move on to track 14.
Mm-hmm.
Track number 14, Opposite. The first, I guess, bonus track. Where it begins with a little more acoustic on the album. Make sure you know it's still there.
Don't forget there's acoustic songs here.
Yeah, this one was again pretty pop tropey for me, with a very repetitive chorus. That's really it. The ending reminds me of vaporwave songs.
Yeah. So the first time I heard the deluxe tracks, obviously this was the first one I heard, and I don't know if you picked up on this in your listen, but I absolutely despise how the verses sound like they were recorded on a voice note on an iPhone 4 and laid into the track. I can't get over it. Like, every time I listen to the song, I'm like, oh, here's the iPhone 4 voice recording again. It just does not sound like her vocals on the rest of the album. And it sounds like it was not, like, I don't know how else to describe it other than it sounds like it was recorded on, like, a really old device and then laid into the album without any, like, update on the vocals and, like, care to how it sounds with the rest of everything else. And then she gets to the chorus, and the chorus is, like, perfectly fine. Like, it sounds like everything else. It sounds like she recorded it in an actual recording studio, and it goes with the rest of the track. And that really bothers me in this song. But other than that, I think it's a good ballad for the album. I think it sounds cohesive with the rest of the album. It's just, man, those lyrics, or not the lyrics, the recording of it is so bad.
Notice that too much?
It also might have just been me, and I was used to hearing her voice because I had listened to that album so many times before the deluxe album came out. And so for that to be the first thing that I heard from this album, I was like, absolutely not. Like, this is not what I'm used to hearing.
Kind of like this song, especially when it opened up at the very end. And, like, I kind of wish the whole song was the end, where it's, like, a lot more lush, you know, a little more of the fuller instrumentation, though I guess I can appreciate some song progression as well.
Yeah.
Well, we can jump to track 15 then.
Yep, track number 15, Feather, which I understand is, like, her other big hit.
Yeah, so Feather is the other one that got super big on TikTok, and this one, I way more understand why it's popular. I love Feather. Feather is obviously my favorite of the two of her super famous songs. But it feels like a good top 40 pop hit. You know what I mean? It feels like it belongs on the radio. It feels like it's a good song. And I just really like how they did it. The harmonies are really good. I normally don't like talking in songs, but the way she says, "I'm so sorry for your loss" is so good. It just, like, checks all of those top 40 pop hit boxes for me, which obviously I know you guys aren't as big of a fan of, but I love Feather. Feather is, like, one of my favorites on the album. Spoilers, maybe, I guess, but yeah, I love this song.
Well, I didn't think this one was nearly as polished as some of the other songs on this album, which is surprising to hear that it's one of the most popular. I like the bass line, but there's not the growth that's displayed in earlier tracks. It's one of those, you know, modern pop songs that just kind of, you get what you get. But yeah, for some reason, I don't know what it was about it, but it just didn't feel like it was fully done.
I mean, maybe the instrumentation isn't as lush as some of the other songs, but I mean, I think it's got some good flourishes. I like the piano cuts throughout the song.
But the piano's really nice. I agree.
But maybe it's a lot more. It's pretty straightforward. Maybe that's part of its pop sensibility that's going for, right?
Right, and that's what I think. That's it plays into a lot of what Sam has been talking about with some of the songs on this album, where like, yeah, it's a pop song. It follows the pop tropes. But for this one, I think they do it really well, and that's why I'm not surprised it got so big. Like, this one is the one that doesn't surprise me that got big. Nonsense, I don't understand. I guess I kind of do, but like, this one is the one that I feel like it follows kind of how the album sounds. Like, it's similar to some of the other ones. It doesn't feel out of place to me, and I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, Sam. I mean, they're going for a pop sound. I mean, she's not going to go for like cowboy cut, right?
Well, you say that.
you say that, and then Lonesome comes up on the
Jump into track 16.
Lonesome?
But here, and I mean, I'll defend Lonesome. I do really like this song. Lonesome to me is similar to Feather, but it's like, it feels like it goes with the album. It's not so out there to me, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm biased because I like the song generally. But Lonesome to me is more like Feather than Nonsense, to where it still kind of feels like it belongs on this album. It's got the acoustic, airy vocals vibes that a lot of the other kind of ballads, I guess, on this album have. The writing is way more similar to a lot of the other songs on the album than Nonsense is. And so this one, where it is kind of out there, it's way more of like the country western thing, which I kind of like. I like the little like echoey whistle that it has in it. It feels like you're in like an old western town. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. I like the vibe. I think it's funny, but again, it way more feels like it's part of the album than something like Nonsense. It just doesn't. It feels similar to other things to me. And maybe I'm off. Maybe you guys have a different thought, but that's mine.
I wrote in my notes, Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh my god. Wow.
There was a lot of whiplash for me with the instrumental start and then back to the exact same singing style we've had for the past 45 minutes. I was like, if you're gonna do it, come on, commit, change it up just a little bit. Like, don't just.
I wrote the exact same note, Sam. Like, why didn't I get a southern drawl? Come on,
like,
Sabrina.
just do it. Mix it up just a tiny bit. Like, you can't have that. You can't go for such a goofy sound and then not change your vocal stylings. If you're gonna commit all the way, or don't do it. Right?
I guess. I don't know. But then there's me. I hate Southern drawl. I hate the country accent singing. Like, I really dislike country music because of that. And so I liked it, that it was kind of country-y, but she was still just using her regular voice, and she wasn't drawn out her R's, and she wasn't talking like a hillbilly. Like, I quite like this song. I think it's fun. I like the story. And I like a lot of the lyrics. Here, I have another lyric note. Of the first lyric in the song, I think, is written so incredibly. The first lyric in the song is, "If I fall in love with all my problems, will they leave me too?" Like, that's so good. The way that you can just tell the entire story from that one lyric is so good. And I have other notes on the story that people probably don't care about, but yeah, I quite like this song, and I get where you're coming from, where you kind of wish that there was something a little different with her vocals, but as a person who really likes her vocals and likes her singing voice, I really enjoy the song, and I like that she didn't do anything different with it.
I just felt there was a pretty big mismatch between the vocals that we were being given and what her vocals were conveying and what the instrumentation was trying to convey.
That's fair.
I welcome the mix up in stylings, but you're trying to sing two different songs happening at the same time.
You want her to get goofy.
Yeah.
Wanted her to get goofy.
Then again, my music taste is interesting.
Want to go on to the last song of the album then?
Yeah, we can wrap it up with the final track on the album, track 17.
Things I Wish You Said. The final track. Which is another kind of sad girl acoustic song.
Mm-hmm.
Emails is big with sad girl acoustic songs. Yeah, I like this song. I feel like in the sense of the whole album, it's a better end song because to me, it feels quite reminiscent of it feels quite reminiscent of the title track, the intro track, Emails I Can't Send, to where it's not like a chorus or verse chorus bridge chorus end. It's like there's a verse and then there's kind of a chorus and then she kind of goes back to a verse and then it's kind of a little bit different of something, which is obviously the title track doesn't really have any sense of verse and chorus. It just kind of goes and goes, and this one kind of feels like we've gone back around full circle to that to me, and so I like that better as a track. And I know you said when we were talking about the end track for the actual album, not the deluxe version, that this one kind of trails off too, and I kind of understand what you mean, but I think the very end of the song with the she just ends it. It's just her voice and it's a note and she sings it and then it's over. It's not trailed off. It's not like light and airy and instrumentally to end. It's her voice and it's a strong ending in my opinion. And I like that a lot better than what it could have been. Or what it was for not the deluxe album is more what I mean.
Fair enough. An improvement.
Yeah.
I was listening more to the lyrics on this one than anything else, and from the vocals, it sounds like the relationship ending was her fault. Like, why are you complaining?
Sam, that's love, baby.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, some people end relationships when they're still like in love with the other person, not because of anything that the other person did, but because of them. Like, one of my favorite lyrics on this album is, "Sorry I pulled the it's not you, it's me. One day I'll make sure you get a real apology." I love that, and it really tells the story well. And people can be sad by ending a relationship that they just think isn't good for them anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that person can still be upset about it. And it's not always the person breaking up with the other person is excited to move on with their life. Like, there's reminiscing and there's sadness about it. And yeah,
I don't know.
I
just
really
read
like this song, and I like the lyrics and the story in this song too.
It just read to me as like, if you said these things, I wouldn't have broken up with you. Why didn't you do that? So I didn't have to do this, you know?
And maybe that was the situation. We don't know what things those were.
If I were the person, I would have simply fallen in love with the right person the first time. But
wow,
you know,
how's that working out for you, Coop?
Bold of you to say that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's the album. Unless anybody has anything else.
No, I think that's it.
That's it.
No, we got to give it a give it a rating now.
Well, we got to do our favorite and least favorite first.
Oh, right. It's been so long since we've done a proper one of these. We took basically the entire month of November and December off.
Now, Carmen, what's your favorite song in the album?
I have a lot of songs that I really like. I don't know if I can pick one favorite. But I think my top ones are definitely Because I Liked a Boy. I really, really like that song. And maybe I'm biased because it's the first one that I ever heard. But I really like that song. I know you guys didn't like it as much, but I really like How Many Things. I like that one a lot too. And from the deluxe tracks that she added, I love Feather. Feather is so pretty. Like I said, I think it's such a good top 40 hit. I think it works great on radio, and I love that it's one of the songs that has made her so popular and like bolted her into fame. And the last song, Things I Wish You Said, I just really, really, really like that song. I think the storytelling is really good. I like how it doesn't follow a verse, chorus, and I love the lyrics. I will scream those lyrics in my car every time it comes on. I love that song so much. So I guess I didn't give you one, I gave you four, but there are just so many songs on this album that I really enjoy. So I don't know if I could pick just one of those.
Sam?
Oh, favorite song would have to be Bet You Wanna for me. It was the most balanced. even if it wasn't on the chorus. And it was some interesting instrumentals, which I appreciated rather than the continuation of just modern pop. So, what about you, Coop? What was your favorite?
I really liked Read Your Mind.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit earlier in the album, but high energy song. I really liked the instrumentation. I thought Sabrina's vocals worked very well on it. It was just a solid, danceable, funky pop tune. Um,
Funky pop tune, big fan.
Funky pop tune. More funk. I want more bass guitar in my pop songs.
Agree. Big agree.
Big agree. So yeah, I think that's my favorite. In that case, then what was y'all's least favorite song?
Carmen, what was yours?
Well, you will not be surprised to hear that my least favorite song is Nonsense. Like I said, it is my one skip on this album. I very much enjoy the rest of it, and Nonsense is just so out of place for me. I really don't think it goes well with the rest of the album. And for that reason, I am not going to invest in it.
I think mine would have to probably be Tornado Warnings. It's a good display of, her voice, but the beat's not really there, and if you don't like her voice, there's not really much else there. What about you, Coop?
It's fair.
Mine's similar for How Many Things. Obviously, I like her voice a little bit more than you, Sam, but also I think without the instrumentation, you kind of need something to carry it forward there, and I thought that one was a little too scarce. Maybe a little too low key. All right.
That's fair. Well, we got to rank it now. I don't remember. Oh, Cooper, we screwed up. We didn't change the animal of the year. We got to do that after this.
Oh no!
This is non-canon.
This is a non.
They're gone.
Canon event.
Non-canon.
I don't know. I've been really enjoying looking at those bunnies on my screen.
Well, it's too bad. It's not the year of the bunny. We forgot to shoo them out of the studio.
No.
We left too many carrots lying around.
Exactly. Yeah. Ugh. So here at Audio Shop Podcast, we do a rating system because we're actually Jay Leno's grandparents, Cooper and I.
Finally, so we can admit it.
Yes, we finally admit him on Jay Leno.
New year, new honesty.
Yes,
right?
Cooper on Jay Leno's mother's side and mine on his father's side. So we kind of passed down to him our love of cars, and since he has brought cars to kind of the mainstream, everybody's talking about cars these days because of Jay Leno. We figured that we would base our podcast around it. So at the tip top cream of the crop, we have Showroom. This is the best of the best. You aren't going to want to miss this. Listen to it, tell all your friends. And then bottom of the barrel, 1 out of 5. Ooh, yuck, get it away from me. Scrapyard, this is actively killing me as I listen to it. Never listen to this. And then high and low and everything in between. And it greatly depends on our mood. So, Carmen, why don't you hit us with your rating first?
All right. So I might have hinted at it a little through the album, but I have listened to this album so many times. This has become a staple in my album rotation, my listening. It stays the only album downloaded on my phone when I have too much memory to download any other albums onto my phone. This album, to me personally, is a showroom. I love this album. There is one skip on the album, and if I just totally forget that Nonsense even exists, this is like one of the best pop albums I've ever heard. And again, I am a pop girly. I enjoy pop music, so this is very up my alley. I love this song. My note was album rating, Showroom, brand new, ordered her from the dealership, and still got more than I asked for. 10 out of 10 album. That was my note.
High praise.
To make it car themed, right? We're car themed here.
Of course. I think I'm gonna have to go and give it I was kind of flipping between a fixer-upper and a like new. I think I'm gonna settle a low like new. Obviously don't love the album as much as you do, Carmen, but I also think it's a pretty solid pop album. Not all the songs work for me. There's some ones that are a little slower, maybe don't succeed as much as I think they do, but I'm pretty big fan of the instrumentation throughout this album, the production. Sabrina's voice, I think, is pretty well, and I like the deluxe editions here. And I think she has some pretty decent dance and funk cuts on here as well. So, not my favorite pop album of all time, but I think in terms of what she's been putting out here, I'm pretty impressed and looking forward to what she releases next. What about you, Sam?
I'm gonna give it a low fixer-upper. It's just pop. It's not. She's not doing anything crazy. She's not doing anything new. She's just kind of. That's in the name, doing what's popular. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I don't know how she could make it better other than just not focus 100% on her voice, but that's kind of what pop is today. So,
cowboy album win.
Yeah, if she had done, I don't need her to do a Southern accent. I just need her to do something different in that one, and that would have like, okay, she's capable of doing it. It's like when we listened to Lil Nas, like he was doing some weird and crazy stuff in that. This is just kind of, yeah.
To be fair, Lil Nas is bolder than most people.
Yes.
I was going to say, this is, it might be going apples to oranges here.
I know. It is, but...
This is not the bold album I think you were looking for, but I totally understand.
I'm also just not much of a pop guy, so that probably isn't helping.
No, that's totally fair.
You only like obscure bands like Electric Light Orchestra.
Exactly.
And the Beatles.
Listen,
Gorillaz.
I love Battle of Marston Moor, Cooper. I think that proves my point.
You're a weirdo. You don't fit in.
Do you see this hat?
That's weird.
You know what they say, us weirdos, we got to stick together.
We gotta stick together.
Well, that's the podcast for this week. Now we're gonna roll on over to the spare tire, which you're welcome to stick around for if you'd like to, Carmen. And if you want to drop off, I completely understand as well.
No, I have a spare tire. I got everything. I'm ready, guys.
Drop off is the last 95% of the. We only got like 5 minutes to go.
I don't know if she's got a meeting or something after this.
At 9:22 p.m. No, I'm good. Thanks, though.
Got a dentist appointment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't pretend to know what your schedule's like. But
I got dinner waiting for me. I hope.
Yeah, I have dinner upstairs too. I've been smelling it this whole time. I finished it literally right before the podcast started and couldn't eat. So Carmen, what have you been listening to then, Carmen?
So I have a very talented friend, and this is as genuine of a spare tire as it is also a shout out for her. A girl that I used to work with at American Eagle, her name is Lydia Susan. She is a former Miss Indiana. She won talent at Miss USA Miss America 2018. She sang a Sinatra song, and she on January 1st has dropped her first EP, and it is all Sinatra covers. She has a great like crooner voice, I guess. I have a little bit of a problem with the mixing on it. Like you have a little bit of a problem on the mixing of Sabrina's album. But I think her vocals are beautiful. She does these Sinatra songs so well, and I know she's such a big Sinatra fan. So I would highly recommend. Her name is Lydia Susan, again, for those who missed it. She has a Sinatra EP that is titled My Way. I think it's very, very well done, and she has a very beautiful voice. So that's, like I said, honestly, what I have been listening to. That's not just me shouting her out, but I really do enjoy it. It's really pretty.
Yeah, for newer artists, we definitely are a lot more lenient, like we were. if it's Bob Dylan and the mixing is fucked, we're gonna be harsh. Right. But if it's a brand new artist, you're figuring stuff out.
She posted videos, and I'm pretty sure literally the people who worked on the album are her like singing it, and then her and her sister, I think, produced it, and her sister plays all the piano on it and everything because her sister plays piano. So I think it's literally just the two of them in like her New York City apartment did the whole album. So like for that, it's incredible. Yeah. But again, there are definitely notes for a person who listens to like very produced pop music that I was like, that's a little interesting. That's a little interesting. But yeah, it's really good. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. I don't know how big of Sinatra fans you both are, but I
do enjoy me.
She has an incredible voice. She has such a good voice, and I know she has a passion for Sinatra and stuff like that. So it's really well done. What about you guys?
What about you, Coop? What you been listening to?
I've been listening to a lot of bossa nova, specifically Antonio Carlos Jobim. Famously wrote "The Girl from Ipanema."
Yes.
I played that in band. I know "Girl from Ipanema."
Yes, he's got a pretty chunky back catalog. You know, when I've been reading, I've just been putting it on and listening to it, and it's been mighty fine.
I still don't get how you can listen to music and read at the same time.
I mean, it depends on some genres are easier than others. Bossa nova is certainly one of the easier ones.
I was gonna say I couldn't really do anything that has lyrics in it because I'd be too focused on the lyrics.
Mhm.
But something like bossa nova or like a classical piano wouldn't be too horrible.
Yeah, I think your mileage may vary, but this has certainly been enjoyable. And yeah, I mean, obviously he's the father of bossa nova, and I've been listening through a lot of his back catalog, and it's been just delightful. So, I mean, hard to recommend a bossa nova artist from the '60s, but
Interesting. It's kind of out of left field. I did not expect you to come out with bossa nova, but there you are.
I like to keep people on their toes.
It's true. You do.
What about you, Sam? You keeping us on our toes?
Yeah, so, well, first I got to say the new thing I listened to, I don't know how, but They Found Me just came out with a new EP on the 11th.
Who?
I don't know how, but They Found Me.
Oh, that's the name of the band.
Yes, that's the name.
That was the name of the EP, but
the name of the EP is Infatuation, and it's 3 tracks. It's called a single, but it's 3 tracks, which was all right. Not as good as some of the other songs I like from them, but I've also been listening to a lot of funk, specifically quite a bit of Hot Chocolate, with You Sexy Thing, the classic. I've been listening to that pretty heavily. Listened through Random Access Memories with Amy as well while she was over. She had never heard it, and she was a fan of Infinite Repeating.
Good album.
Jonah, shout out.
Which it's Infinite Repeating, right, Coop? That track that just came out last year that was a demo.
Oh yeah, on their whatever 10th anniversary.
That was one of their greatest songs ever, and they're like, oh yeah, this is just a demo, and it's amazing. But yeah, so we listened through Random Access Memories, and then just a lot of funk. I'm really, really digging that. I'm probably going to listen to that after this, because You Sexy Thing is such a good song, and I think I need to go through Hot Chocolate's catalog.
What's funny
they've got
is
some good stuff.
I actually really dislike that song.
Really? I love that song.
I really don't like that song. Anytime I hear it in a movie or I hear it in a commercial, I physically cringe, and I'm like, oh, I hate this song. I really don't like that song, and I don't doubt that other things in their discography are good, but just that song, I don't like the lyrics. I don't like how provocative it is. It's too sexually forward for me, and that's why I don't like it.
That's funk.
And I can't listen to anything else in the song because I hate the lyrics and I hate the way he sings it, and I don't know. It just creeps me out a little.
Well, to each their own.
Of the day. I don't know.
To each their own.
That's true. I have one more spare tire though. I will shout out Ariana Grande's new single. It is very different than what she's been doing. Her last 2 or 3 albums were very overly produced hip hop, backtrack, that stuff I don't like. But this album is a little more lighter and poppier. Or this single that she just put out is more lighter and poppier, and I like it. And there's one lyric on there that I think is very funny. And I won't say it because I don't want you to get red flagged, but yeah, I quite like the new Ariana single. But if you're not a pop fan, you probably won't enjoy it as much as I did, but I quite liked it.
All right, well then that's all we've got for you this week. If you've liked what you've heard, for some reason, you can scroll down on the Twitch page to the picture of Jeff Lynne. He's the guy with the aviators and the puffy hair. That'll take you to YouTube, where almost all the past episodes are. And then if you're on YouTube, there's a link in the description to our Twitch, where almost every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are live doing a new one of these. And then are we still using that fascist hell site, Cooper, or have we moved on to something better?
I think its integration with Twitch is broken.
It's been broken since May, yes, of last year.
So,
yeah,
we do post on Twitter at AudioShopPod. That's POD. Where you let you know what we're listening to and when we're listening to it. So give us a follow there if you're interested in finding out what we're going to review ahead of time.
I wish I could tell you that the fascist hellscape has another viable option, Sam, but unfortunately, it is still the most viable option for that kind of social media posting.
I think Mastodon's the new thing. It's going to be toots rather than tweets.
Again, Mastodon has been around for a long time, and it has not caught on as much as I think it needed to by now to become the next thing. So unless Twitter actually shuts down, or he who must not be named does something some irreversible damage to it, I still think it's going to be Twitter.
Oh, it's bleeding out, Carmen. It's only a matter of time.
I sure hope you're right, Sam.
I mean, they're not paying their bills, so eventually the plug is going to get pulled.
Oh, shoot. Didn't know that. Yep, that's not good.
Yeah.
Plug
so.
literally gets pulled. Elon trips on a cord and plugs
God,
the router.
There was he did crawl under the floorboards and unplug some servers. I was thinking, you know how sometimes mice get into the walls and touch things that they shouldn't and get fried? Wouldn't that be interesting? Anyway, that's all we've got for you this week. We will see you next time.
See you later, shoppies.
See ya.
Bye.